There is so much to be said on the topic of women in sports. The ideas of fairness and equal opportunities go back a long way, and not just in athletics. Deep-rooted societal values have made females have a tough go of it. This makes breakthroughs from female athletes all that much more special. Throughout the course of history, many feats have been accomplished that have helped women get into the level playing field they are on today. But this begs the question, are we done? Is there still room for improvement? What lies in the future for females in sports? But before we get to that, let's take a look back in time.
Society viewed recreational activity as a means to honor the teachings of God. The early 1600s and 1700s reflected what is known as the Puritan lifestyle. For women, this meant their sole purpose was to cook, clean, and most of all, bear children. As society progressed, women began pushing the limits. In the 1800s, moderate exercise was said to improve the woman's reproductive organs. This led to the implementation of physical education on college campuses. Basketball was the first sport that women would embrace in the 19th century. For women, sport was seen as a privilege, encompassing women of high social class. By the end of the century, women were participating in individual sports.
One sport that would begin to categorize women as a threat was croquet. At the time, women would compete against men and be blamed for cheating on the grounds of flirting, a huge distraction for them. At the beginning of the 20th century, stereotypes against women were more prominent than ever. As women broke into cycling, they gained more freedom. They challenged the idea of modest behavior. The traditional long dress hindered the woman's ability to cycle. This birthed the new trouser uniform. As women continued to break barriers and change society's traditional ideals of them, one woman showed that she could care less of what society thought. Babe Didrikson would define what it meant to be a tomboy. She would go on to play basketball, track and field, swimming, baseball, tennis, and golf. Didrikson's efforts would go on to create a new pathway for women in sports, showing other women that it is okay to play multiple sports and dominate them, regardless of what society might say.
Early on, Kathrine Switzer was one of many to break molds in sport. In 1967, a 19-year-old Switzer entered and ran in the Boston Marathon. At the time, the idea of a woman competing in the race was so out there that the rules made no mention of not allowing them to participate. So Switzer trained for months, got herself registered, and ran. Despite an attempt from the officials to get her kicked out of the race, Switzer shook it off and continued towards her goal. She finished the race in 4 hours and 20 minutes, officially becoming the first woman to enter and complete the Boston Marathon. She has since become an icon, revered for her bravery and accomplishments for the sake of all female athletes. Today, Kathy works as an author and speaker, telling women about how they can empower themselves through running. She is even still taking part in races. In fact, Switzer, who will be 70 in January, says she plans to run in the next year's Boston Marathon. She is still proving today that a woman can accomplish anything through drive and sheer will.
A few years later, in 1972, what is probably the biggest success women in sports, or even in general, have had, took place with the implementation of Title IX. This bill was signed and passed by President Richard Nixon, which stated, "No person in the United States shall on the basis of sex be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance." At this time, ladies' sports were not taken seriously and did not receive much funding or attention on any level, especially compared to the dominating men's sports. After Title IX was passed, schools and programs saw significant growth with their athletics. According to a study conducted in 2014, the number of college women competing in sports from 1971 to the present has gone from roughly 16,000 to 200,000. It's virtually impossible to find a school without an established women's basketball, volleyball, or soccer team today, thanks to the bill. Title IX has been a landmark accomplishment for females and had a large impact on every level of competition in the U.S.
Merely a year after Title IX was passed, another huge leap for women was made. Billie Jean King, an established dominant tennis player, shocked the world when she took on Bobby Riggs, a man, in a match, in what was dubbed as the Battle of the Sexes. King, 29 at the time, and Riggs, 55. King stated that it was more than just a game, that losing would set women back at least 50 years. With that, she became a pioneer for the female athlete. But she wasn't done there. In her playing days, she was a huge advocate for equal pay between men and women in tennis, even threatening to sit out during one U.S. Open if the prize money was not raised to the same amount as the men's. She also began the Women's Sports Foundation, in which is dedicated to promoting and enhancing athletic opportunities for females. Today, she continues to push for fair treatment in society. She even leads for the LGBT community. Billie Jean King is such a significant figure in history, not only for her performance on the court, winning 39 Grand Slams, but also for being a voice in fighting for women everywhere.
Looking at today, outside of the female athlete, there are also hardships for women in sports business. In fact, since the passing of Title IX, the number of females coaching college sports has declined by 30%. One female sought to make history in the world of professional sports. In 2014, Becky Hammon became the first female assistant coach of an NBA team. The San Antonio Spurs made Hammon the first full-time salaried female coach in NBA history. Thanks to Becky Hammon's hard work and dedication, she has shown that women can indeed be just as qualified as men in the world of professional sports.
Although Title IX has created opportunities for women, it has also created some problems. Despite the efforts to ensure gender equality, women must still deal with the stereotypes posed against them. Women must continue to not only be physically strong, but mentally tough as well. One young lady redefined what it means to throw like a girl. At the tender age of 13, Monet Davis became the first female to throw a complete game, no-hitter in Little League Baseball. Competing against boys and throwing at 70 miles per hour showcases why Davis is paving the way for other young females. Davis also became the first Little Leaguer to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Davis did not stop there. She also plays on an all-boys recreational basketball team. In 2015, she competed in the NBA's celebrity basketball game, showing that she can put up more numbers than some grown men on the basketball court. Davis proved that girls can be just as competitive and powerful as boys when it comes to sports. At just 13, Davis showcased why gender equality is a necessity in the world of sport.
Women have come a long way since the introduction of sport in society. The fight for equality still seems to be a prominent issue. While acts like Title IX seek to support the struggles that females face in a male-dominated society, there is still work to be done. Just recently, we have seen a fight for equal pay in sports from the U.S. women's soccer team. The ladies claimed that they were making 25% less than their male counterparts. This illustrates the idea that maybe there is still room for growth when it comes to women in sports and how they are treated compared to their peers. Will it ever be possible to see a woman pitch a shutout in the World Series? A female GM celebrating as her team wins a Super Bowl? A woman coaching her team to an NBA Finals victory? It is only up to us to assure it is possible. As a society, we have to learn from the women of our history and the lessons they provided and work so that all women across the board get to play with the best of them.